213 characters, 28 sound forms. I think I counted correctly. Hey, I'm Jay, and I make videos about traditional Chinese characters in alphabetical order according to the Pinyin romanization spelling. All the characters that start with C according to the 3,000 most common characters on the Ministry of Education's list in Taiwan. Tip for you intermediate learners in practicing reading, totally free. Ask the AI mode for Google to give a summary of today's news. So we get, it's just a few paragraphs here. It's top global headlines, US politics and economy, national news and unrest, and other news. Then I ask it to translate it into the 700 most frequently used traditional Chinese characters. I probably know over 700 characters, but what they're saying are the most common characters might not be my set of Chinese characters that I know. So I am continually picking up vocabulary, and I don't always know the combination. So there could be two characters that I know, but you put them together and it's a new vocabulary word for me. My whole experience here in Taiwan is I haven't been reading as much. Some people prefer oral. A great way to start is current events. Put pinyin next to each character. So here we have 全球大事. That's the global news. And I can just read along with the paragraphs and check out the character, get my tones bang on. AI kind of highlighted some new vocabulary for me. So 协议, here, deal. I think it's important to keep your eyes on the character, and your peripheral vision can kind of see the pinyin. As we go on with this video, if you see this pop up on your screen, pause the video and see if you recognize the characters. If you don't, let's try to break it down into the radicals. Ta, to rub on or wipe off. That's the hand radical. You can think of this as like a beret. There's another stroke there. These look like eyes or glasses. On the left side of what I'm calling eyes or glasses, there's an extra stroke. That's actually yue, the month moon radical. And that little extra spot, if you had that under your eye, you would want to wipe it off. Thus the meaning of wipe. Nose. That's a mouth. Like a button-down shirt. Or a polo. And a collar. We're going to remember this portion for later. So that's one way of learning characters. You learn radicals, 214 radicals, and that can help the meaning often. And then just assigning attributes or characteristics to a pictograph. This is not a pictograph, but I'm making it a pictograph. Assigning this mian, the roof, as beret, and these as eyes. These may be deep lines in somebody's face. And there's an extra mark on this side that's not on this side. So with your hand, that's the hand radical, you would want to wipe that off if you had something on your face. Base of the nose or a mustache and mouth. Open shirt with collar. If you're into writing, you might have to do it this way. If you're going for recognition, you might not have to be that elaborate. But there are a lot of characters that are going to look similar, so you do want to differentiate. This is great because without the hand, we still have another character, which we'll get to later. That's one way of trying to embed these characters in the brain. Giving credit where credit is due, that's trainchinese.com. But let's face it, they don't always look like anything. So you just have to learn the component parts, which are more minimal strokes. So we have, for example, the dog. That does kind of look like a dog up on its hind legs, maybe. You can kind of see it. Inverted dog radical. And qin. Qin is green or young, used in different color combinations. But then you can break this down even further. Like there's yue, month or moon. So you can put the idea of a dog with greenish together and say, who would own a green dog? because the meaning is guess. You're guessing. Who's the owner of that dog? It must be my neighbor. On the left, Tren, dog radical, and Qing, blue or green. First tone Tsai, guess.
Anybody seen a dog dyed dark green?
These are all second tone Tsai. The first one, ability or talent, and it can also mean just or only. I think it looks like a guy with his arms stretched out kicking a soccer ball. With the wood radical, it can also mean ability or timber or material, like mu cai, wood. The third one with the shellfish or money radical means money, wealth, property. Example, fa cai, become rich. The cai on the right, for example, cai feng is a tailor. It means to cut. It can also mean to judge. Cai pan, umpire. But going back to cut, I literally just saw this character yesterday as Amazon laid off 15,000 workers. Tsai Yuan, lay off employees.
亚马逊正在裁员15000名工人。
This is the most complex one of the bunch. We have two with a extended bottom and the Chinese battle axe over yi, which means clothing. Again, that was second tone. Let's move on to third tone. Tsai. The first one has Zhao over mu. That's the claw radical over the wood radical. It has a lot of different meanings. For example, manner or spirit of someone. And if you'll notice, that's the component in the other three. Number two has the hair radical next to it. That means varied colors, as in Tsai Hong, rainbow. It can also be in compounds for prize or splendor. Taiwan lottery there, with the hand radical, to pick or to gather. Cai shui guo, to pick fruit. Placing zu to the left, that's the foot or attain radical. It means to trample or step on. With the grass radical on top, it's cai, fourth tone, vegetable or a dish of food. If you dig the vibe, please like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Tsan, Tsan. On the left, three privates, si over ren, person radical, and shan, which is the phonetic component, that's hair. It means to take part in. Example, 参加活动, to take part in an activity. This boy is taking part in yoga. This can have a secondary pronunciation of shen, as in ren shen ginseng. The right side character is Tsan, extremely common character meaning meal. For example, Tsao Tsan, breakfast. Sorry, little man, let's remove that facial tattoo. Here it is again. The top portion looks like some funky eyes, the left side with kind of a periscope sticking up from it. Then we have the food component. And just a reminder, all of these sound forms have their own independent video in my What a Character series. Let's jump over to third tone for a second before we go to the second tone. If you put the heart radical in front of the canja, Tsan, you get Tsan, tragic or pathetic. Tsan an, massacre. Second tone, Tsan. We have dai, which means evil, on the left side of that first character, and two battle axes together means jian or small. So evil, small. The meaning of the character as a whole means remaining or cruel or disfigured. And those battle axes can certainly make somebody disfigured. Example, 残障车位, a handicapped parking space. The right side 残 is silkworm. Notice the insect radicals. 桑蚕, silkworm. And fourth tone 残. You guys familiar with the 3C or electronics store called Tsang in Taiwan? Well, here it is. It means bright, brilliant. And giving a clue to its meaning is the fire radical on the left. The right top is the same as Tsan or meal, and the bottom is mi, uncooked rice. Those Tsang stores are always painted in bright, brilliant yellow. Next time you go, take a look at the sign. Remember the fire radical, which kind of gives a clue to the meaning of bright. There's what I had been calling eyes, but maybe they look like mittens to you. The left side looks like a periscope on top of the mitten, and uncooked rice on the bottom you can think of as a light shining out brilliantly. It's shining out in all directions from the sh or 10. That's the plus sign that you see at the bottom of the character. Tsang, Tsang. This is exactly why we go in alphabetical order. The same Tsang is in all 4 of those characters. The character on the left is warehouse or storehouse. For example, Tsang Ku, a warehouse. The person radical on the top, Ren, is kind of split very wide. Looks like a roof, as a warehouse would have. The second one with the 3 dots, that's the water radical, and the meaning is blue, although it's in a lot of different compound expressions. It's literary. With the grass radical, it can also be blue or dark green or even gray. Tangbai is pale or faint in color. For the character on the right, you may have seen the left side component chou, boat, in such characters as ban. So with the Tsang, it is first tone Tsang and means hold, cabin, or module. You'll see this character in the different classes of seating for airplanes, like Jingji, Tsang, economy class. This next one can be pronounced Tsang, second tone, or Zang, as in Xizang, Tibet. The primary meaning is to hide or storage. Shou Tsang, to collect something for yourself. And it's made up of components that we've seen before in my series. For example, the bottom middle character can be found in a famous store here, Watson's, which is like a cosmetics pharmacy. It's Chen and can stand alone as a minister in political affairs. We'll also see that one a little bit later in the video. Tsao, Tsao, grasp, hold, do, or operate. It's the hand radical next to Tsao, chirping of birds. It's 3 mouths over a tree. Makes sense. That's the phonetic component. A second tone, Tsao, is trough or groove. Tiao Tsao is an expression to change jobs, like changing lanes. Third tone, Tsao, with the grass radical over Tsao, morning, is grass or weeds. Fourth tone, Tsao, can also be pronounced Tsao. For example, Tsao mi, unpolished rice. Mi, uncooked rice on the left, and Tsao, which means to build, on the right, and that's the phonetic component. Drop your pencil to the paper and give me 10. Or not, at a frequency of 2904 out of 3000, it's getting close to our upper limit. The next sound form is ts, t. Pause and see how many of these you recognize. The first thing you should see is that 3 of them have the same components, and they're all fourth tone t. On the left, t, volume or album, and they actually look like books on a shelf. Det is the first in the level of graded readers. The person radical next to shellfish or money radical, and the knife, inverted knife, is t, side or lean. Tman, side door. The t in the middle, to plan, scheme, or spur on, has bamboo on the top, and there's some wood in there. Lue, tactic. The fourth one with the water radical is survey, measure, or test. For example, shi, to test somebody, or yen. On your extreme right, without the water radical, enclosing the component that we've been seeing with guang, which means wide, it becomes as in suo, lavatory or toilet. The only tongue in our list of 3000 common characters is right here. It means layer or floor. It's the corpse radical over tongue, which means already. Do you like lasagna? 前层面. Ch, a, cha. These are all first tone, cha. The first one means a fork or block or separate, cross. It looks like something holding some food. The one in the middle is insert, cha ru, plug in. It actually looks like we're plugging something in. and there's a hand radical on the left. Cha or za has the mouth radical and the tree over day over one. It's an onomatopoeia representing clicking sounds or just noise in general. Without the mouth radical, this is second tone cha, as are all the rest, and it means check or examine. The grass radical over ren, person, over a tree is ti. So many uses of this, I can't even begin. Now, the first character that we did today, ca, this is without the hand radical. It's cha, second tone, to closely examine or observe. Jing cha, or police. The next two can have multiple pronunciations, but both of them can be pronounced cha. The first one is a brief moment or a Buddhist temple, but probably more so known as putting brakes on, that would be pronounced sha. You can see an X over wood next to the inverted knife radical. And the character on the right is cha, meaning bad or difference, or sometimes a job. I know it doesn't look like it, but it's yang, sheep, over work. Cha bu duo, nearly the same. Cha shi, an assignment or errand. Our next sound form is ch, I, chai. We have first tone and second tone. The one with the hand radical and what looks to be jin, which is axe, with another little dot, is to take apart or pull down, dismantle. Ci, which we'll talk about later, that's stop and spoon. Stop that spoon! Never gets old. Over mu, wood, is chai, the character they use in firewood. Chai huo, or mu chai, firewood. Huo chai, match. The next three are all second tone chan, sometimes shan for the first one. It means Zen Buddhism. On the left of that first character, it's not the clothing radical, it is shi, meaning sign or cult. And to the right is a character meaning single. You also see dan, single, in the second character with the insect radical to the left. It's seen in the term cicada and also means continuous. The chan on the right, to wind around, makes sense, with silk on the left. There's also guang, meaning wide, li, a unit of measurement, that's radical 166, and tu, earth. Example, chan zhu, wind around. Third tone, chan, to give birth. Thanks, Mom. Literature, over factory, over life. Wen, over chang, over sheng, respectively. Chi, ang, chang. A ri over another ri, or yue, since it's wider, meaning say. Prosperous, good, or a surname. With the nu, or female radical, in front, it tends to mean a prostitute. A bunch of second tone chang here. The first one can be also pronounced zang, grow, but as chang it means long. The second one means usually or common, also a surname. Chang chang yong all, often used. I always see that character as somebody wearing a Viking or samurai helmet. The character in the middle is intestines. It's used in the term for sausage. It has the meat radical or the month radical next to yang, which means to expand or bright, and that's further broken down into a day over one over u, which means no. Wow, I really got excited about the u. For the fourth one, we're taking the same top components as chang chang da chang, the one that means usually, and adding a spoon and a day or zhi, and we get the second tone chang, meaning taste, experience, or try. Chang shi, attempt. And the final one on your extreme right, we take the ren, person radical, with the same top component as the one we just mentioned, over bei, which means money or shellfish, and it means payback or compensate for. Chang fu, payback, repay. De bu chang shi, not worth the effort. This is my other love, coffee shops. It smells so good because they're a roaster, cafe, but they're not open today. They sell big bags of coffee. Anyway, 我要买 Wang Chou Pai, a tennis racket in this place. It's a little big for me though. There's 3 of them in here. I guess they're promotional. Or you can't tell how big they are. Like 1.5 meters. Guy who sold me the racket, he said, 请问你是混血儿或是外国人? That's about the best compliment that I've had. He said, are you mixed or are you a foreigner? Third tone Chang. And speaking of tennis, Wang Chou Chang. The Chang is the first one. We're taking off the meat radical from the Chang intestines and replacing it with Tu, the earth radical, to get a level open space. Shichang is a market. Shang and Pu components make up this middle character, which means roomy or spacious as an adjective or as a verb. Open. 敞开你的翅膀 means open your wings. It's literary. With the wide or 广部首, it means factory. 工厂 factory. Fourth tone, Chang. Let's recall our first tone, Chang, prosperous, and add ren, or the person radical, to form the character for propose or initiate. And with the mouth radical, it's to sing. 唱歌, sing songs. 我喜欢唱歌. For that third one, we're adding the heart radical to Chang to get Chang. Disappointed, frustrated, sorry. 怅恨, bitterness from being disappointed. The character on the right, we combine shun with yang to get Chang, smooth, free, uninhibited. Example, 喝得很畅快, drink carefreely, or 畅谈, talk freely. Are you still with me? 加油. The next ones are Chao, Che, Ao, Chao, all first tone. The hand radical shou plus shao is Chao, to plagiarize. 抄功课, copy somebody's homework. I don't believe my wife ever did that. She was a good student. She was a super student. Chao is the second character. Yeah, all 3 of them are Chao, first tone. Chao che means to overtake other cars on the road. So ultra, hyper, transcend. On the right with Jin, the gold radical, and shao, meaning less, is paper money or banknotes. Second tone, Chao. The first one has Chuan, river on the top of Guo, fruit, but I tend to see it as somebody with a bird's nest hair. The meaning is nest. There's a person with some funky hair. The second one is a royal court or a dynasty. This character can have other pronunciations, such as Zhao or Zhu, and can mean morning. With the water radical, it tends to mean tide. And just like in English, can be used in the abstract, a rising tide, such as a social trend. 潮湿 is moist or damp. On the right, with the mouth radical, 嘲 means to ridicule or deride, mock, or sneer. 不要怕别人嘲笑. Don't be scared of other people laughing at you. Third tone, 吵, with the mouth and 小 means quarrel or make noise. With the fire radical, saute in the Chinese way, stir fry. 炒饭 is fried rice. 炒新闻, stir up the media. 吃, che. Here's one of the most common characters there is. Che, vehicle, it looks like a chariot. Oh, I love it. Classic mini. Nice. 车子, car. There's another one there. Third tone, 扯, pull, tear, or chat. Hand plus stop components. 牵扯, to pull somebody into a situation. 3 fourth tone, che, all with the same component. With 吃, to step with the left foot component, we have thorough or penetrating. 彻夜, all night. And with the hand radical in the middle, 撤退, pull back. So this character means to remove or draw back. And with the radical, which is water On the right side, it also means thoroughly or clear water. Again, 彻. 彻查 is investigate thoroughly. 清澈, crystal clear. 吃恩臣, it's the brick wall radical, or I call it that. It can stand alone. 大臣 is a minister under a monarchy. The second one, also 臣, sink, indulge in, or deep or heavy. 沉默 is silence. 沉思, deep in thought. The third one, time, day, celestial bodies. 时辰 is a time for doing something, and it's a formal occasion, usually. The fourth one, 陈, it's a common surname, the most common, probably, to put on display, or it sometimes means old. You can see the character dong, east, in that one. People call this Ardongchen because the left side looks like an ear. The fifth one means dawn. You can see the character for day over the previously mentioned third character. Chen Tsao, and we just learned Tsao. Chen Tsao is morning exercises. The last one, Chen, is dirt or dust. For example, 灰尘, dust. 尘土, also dust. Or 尘世, this world, this mortal life. It's actually the character Lu, or deer, over Tu, the earth, dirt radical. You might want to pause and write these. There are no third tone. Let's go on to the fourth tone. Chen, on the left, to take advantage of. Chen Zao is to get up as early as possible. The next one is aligning or provide a contrast. Chen Shan, shirt. Chi Cheng. These are both first tone. The one on the left has the grain still on the stalk radical. You might know it as Chenghu. 你怎么称呼 is what is your name in a formal way. With the hand radical and what I was calling the samurai head component over tooth, also Cheng, prop up, as in Cheng Yao, back up or support. Holy moly, there's a lot of second tone Cheng. The first one is probably one of the most common characters. It means become. Gong is success, and it also appears in two other characters. Can you see them? The second one with minimal strokes, for example, Bao, to present or submit a report to a superior. Tsang, the third one, means to bear. I have an interesting way of remembering that one. Check out my picture. Chengren, to admit or acknowledge. Adding the earth radical in front of the character that means to become is city, town, or walls of a city. Chengbao, fort or castle. Chengshi, city. The fifth one is kind of interesting. It's the character for tree or wood, but it's superimposed over the character for north. And it means ride, take advantage of, or used in the word for multiplication. So, chengfa, multiplication. The sixth character with the grain still in the stalk with the character that meant to present formally is also Cheng, rule, order, journey, distance, and also a surname. You might know it as Chengdu, to what degree or extent. 到什么程度 is to what degree. And the next one, here's that character for become again. On the left side, we have the component for speaking, the spoken radical. It means sincere or honest. 诚实, honest. Second to last on the right, 澄, meaning clear or still, purify. 澄澈, clean and clear. You might recognize dung for light. That's your phonetic component for that one. And the last, 澄, means punish or reprimand. I came up with an elaborate story to remember this one and also an AI picture, so check out my video on that one. Here's fourth tone, cheng, weighing scale or balance. That's he, grain still on the stalk, plus ping, flat or level. 你吃饱了吗? There's the character for eat, 吃. Another first tone, 吃, silly, idiotic, as in 白痴, idiot. It's the sick radical over 知, which means to know. That's our phonetic component. Remember, phonetic components might just rhyme as a hint to the sound. Second tone, 池. The first one is water, 水, plus 野, also. 池塘, pond or pool. It's also a surname. A hand next to a scholar or soldier over an inch means to hold, support, or maintain. 保持, maintain, 保持, 联络, to keep in contact with somebody. In the middle, the character for the be verb is, with spoon, is either a spoon or a key. 钥匙, key. Character 4 is a horse plus 也 also, and it means to go swiftly. 远近驰名, to be known far and wide. The right side 迟 is last because it's late to the party. It means late. The walking radical 错 next to 西, which means rhinoceros, can be further broken down into the corpse radical over water over the character for cow. Again, 迟到, late. Third tone, 迟, left to right. The first one's used in expressions of length. It could also just be a ruler. It looks like an R for ruler. The middle character, which is ear, plus 心, heart, means shame, disgrace, humiliation. 无耻, shameless, brazen. And the character on the right is 牙齿的齿, tooth or tooth-like part of something. On top, 直, it means halt or stop over a bunch of ren that look like teeth, in 2 rows no less. 牙齿, teeth. The next sound form is fourth tone, 赤. The first one is unbraid, scold, repel, exclude. 排斥, reject or repel. It's an axe with a little extra dot. We encountered this component earlier with dismantle, Tsai. The middle 赤 means red, bare, or loyal. 赤道 is the equator. 赤脚, barefoot. The right side with the feather components, 翅 as in 翅膀, wing. 变成翅膀守护你. This AI Formosan macaque is hoping for some 翅膀 to fly down off the summit. 翅u ong chong, to fill or serve as. Chong 翅, we literally just saw 翅a minute ago, to flood or congest. Water with middle or zhong in the middle there is chong, flush or rinse. chong matong. And we have the character chong to rush towards. chonga, charge. I present you with 2 second tone chong. The first one, high, exalt, or worship. There's a mountain on top. chongbai, worship. 3 insect radicals in traditional Chinese means bug, insect, or worm. chong. Sometimes people will even keep them as pets. chong, chongwu, pet. That's a roof over long, dragon. And used in expressions to mean favor, dote on, or spoil. Dongshen chongwu. That's a veterinary clinic. That's enough for now. That was part 1. I'm exhausted. But before I go, here are 3 to 5 second panels of more characters that start with the letter C in Pinyin. The following Chinese traditional characters will comprise part 2. There's Alex on the 101 building. I've got some work to do. Hopefully you'll see me for part 2. Runner's Garden, signing off. Best of luck in your Chinese.